Heartwarming moment. Millionaire baby's tears stopped by incredible act of kindness from Black Guardian Angel. The warm Atlanta sun beamed down upon the freshly mown lawns of the Forsyth neighborhood, where everything gleamed with perfection. Mark and Sarah Thompson, recognizable faces in their pristine community, found themselves far from picture-perfect that Saturday afternoon. Their serene, luxury life was shattered by the piercing wails of their baby daughter, Lily. As tears streamed down her cheek, the couple felt the weight of their seeming inadequacy. Desperate, Mark pushed the stroller faster, eyes scanning the park. They were surrounded by laughter, families picnicking, kids playing tag. Yet, drowning in their own reality, Mark and Sarah felt like strangers. "Just calm down, kiddo," Sarah whispered, her heart racing. With each cry, their confidence crumbled. They'd built a life around success, yet here was this tiny, inconsolable being unraveling what they thought was their perfect world. In a contrasting universe just a few miles away, Latasha Johnson carried the weight of her own life's chaos. A hardworking single mother, she juggled 2 jobs and 2 kids, Jamal and Aisha, in a bustling inner-city apartment. She thrived in struggle, earning laughs and smiles from children as she volunteered after her shifts. Life was tough, but she made it work. Her focus was solely on her kids, their dreams the fabric of her own. Back at the park, Mark gripped the stroller with white knuckles, panic rising as the hired babysitter collapsed due to a sudden health scare just feet away. Instantly, everything fractured. He and Sarah had no one to turn to. Their voices choked up, frustration clouded their emotions. At that moment, they were lost in a crowd of laughter and joy. Then, Latasha strolled by, her children's laughter lighting up the moment. She noticed Lily's cries, an air of urgency easing into concern. "Let me help," she said, extending her arms toward the little one. With gentle confidence, she embraced the baby. Latasha began humming a sweet lullaby, a melody of hope. Within seconds, Lily's cries faded into soft coos, her furrowed brow relaxing. Mark and Sarah stood in awe as relief washed over them, their anxieties melting like ice on a summer day. "Wow, thank you," Sarah managed, a mix of gratitude and a newfound realization bubbling within her. Yet, as she exchanged smiles with Latasha, a tension seeped into the air. What bound them together, yet kept them worlds apart? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the moment stretched, laughter faded, and their minds shifted. Beneath the facade of their enviable lives, Mark and Sarah wrestled with guilt, facing their own privilege. Latasha, who had calmed Lily, began to invite them into her world where kindness battled hardship. Discussions birthed vulnerability. As their interaction deepened, they found themselves challenging stereotypes and biases they didn't even know they wore like armor. In their different realities, far more existed than mere background noise. With darkness edging in, they were left with a question that hung heavy in the air: could they genuinely connect despite the chasm that separated their lives, or would judgment drown out hope? Their journey was only beginning, leaving hearts thrumming with unanswered wonder as the sun dipped low. Latasha could feel the heartbeat of her struggles radiating in the air as she looked into Sarah's eyes. They spoke volumes, richer than any luxury life she had only glimpsed. Sarah's perfectly manicured hands trembled slightly, a contrast to the smooth rhythm of Latasha's calloused palms, worn from years of hard work. As they exchanged glances, the walls they each had built began to crack. "Honestly, I don't know what to do sometimes," Mark finally admitted, breaking the silence but echoing the vulnerability in the space. His bravado had faded, stripped bare under the weight of their shared humanity. Latasha nodded in understanding, her spirit igniting with a flicker of connection. "I get it," she replied softly, her eyes darting between the nervous couple and the now calm Lily. "It's hard to juggle everything. Sometimes you just need a little help." Her voice carried the warmth of an experienced hand reaching out. Mark took a step closer, the stroller momentarily forgotten. "But you seem so confident. How do you handle it all?" The question hung in the air, tinged with respect, curiosity, and a hint of envy. Latasha chuckled lightly, her children's laughter echoing in the background. "Confidence comes with practice. You learn that love and perseverance can make the impossible possible. I rely on my kids for that. They inspire me every day." Her pride glimmered like sunlight breaking through storm clouds, illuminating the truth within her struggles. Mark and Sarah gazed at Latasha and her children, Jamal and Aisha, who were earlier playing tag in the park, their carefree spirits weaving a beautiful tapestry of youth and resilience. The contrast of their smiles filled the Thompson couple with a bittersweet longing. Here they were, armors shining, yet so profoundly unarmed. "Maybe we need to stop trying to be perfect," Sarah ventured, her voice quaking ever so slightly but steady with conviction. "What if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable? To feel real emotions instead of just the surface kind?" Latasha's gaze softened. "That's a brave thing to say." Her heart swelled as she witnessed the spark of transformation aligned between them. Embracing those feelings opens doors, even when it's uncomfortable. "Trust me, it feels better than bottling it up." The air lingered thick and electric, like it held the weight of possibility. Darkness danced around them, but this new connection shined like a lantern in the night. In a world where preconceived notions often led to silence, they were navigating toward understanding. As the sun dipped lower, the shadows stretched, reminding them that time ticks away too quickly. They knew how fleeting moments like this could be. Mark took a deep breath and stepped further into vulnerability. Can we meet again? Maybe not just in moments of crisis." Latasha smiled, that same brilliant smile that had soothed Lily. "Absolutely. How about you bring Lily to my kids' next park day? Teaching our children how to interact is crucial. Let them flourish together, and maybe we can as well." Mark and Sarah exchanged glances, hope breaking through the uncertainty. The universe felt a little more aligned, as if unseen threads were weaving their lives closer together. As they shared an agreement, a mother's laughter drifted over from another group. It mixed with the chill of uncertainty, echoing around them like a pulse of new beginnings. But would that shared laughter bind them closer or push them apart as they navigated two very different worlds? Latasha felt the weight of her responsibilities calling. She had to be there for her own kids, yet her heart was already leaping toward this newfound companionship. As she turned to leave, she glanced back one last time. "See you soon, right? We can all learn something from each other." The couple watched her walk away, each step pulling them toward clarity and connection. For the first time, a whisper of adventure lingered in the air, a journey yet to unfold. What new truths awaited them on this path? They could only wonder as the sun finally dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of hope. The sun had barely set when Latasha arrived home, her kitchen filled with the familiar smells of dinner simmering on the stove. Jamal and Aisha were already at the table, their animated chatter filling the air like music. As she entered, the walls that had felt confrontational just moments ago melted into the warmth of home. "Mom, can we have spaghetti tonight?" Aisha's bright eyes sparkled with hope. "Please, Mom," Jamal added, his mouth already forming a grin at the thought of their favorite meal. Latasha felt her heart swell. "How about we do something a little different? Spaghetti with a little twist, maybe some fresh veggies on top." The children's faces scrunched up slightly at the mention of vegetables, but she knew that mixing in those greens might just go overlooked amid the familiar flavors. As she stirred the pot, Latasha replayed her encounter with Sarah and Mark in her mind. Each word hung around her like a cozy blanket, they dared to question their own armor. She wondered whether they realized just how strong they could be if they peeled back some layers. Her thoughts were interrupted when Jamal asked, did you meet any fun people today, Mom? Yeah, I met someone who reminded me that being real is what makes us strong. Latasha smiled, encouraging her kids to take their lead from this idea. Like superheroes? Aisha chimed in. Exactly. Even superheroes have their struggles. Latasha turned to face her children, her hands resting on the counter as she leaned in closer. Being honest about your feelings lets other people in. That's what makes friendships grow. While they ate, laughter bounced off the walls, washing away any remnants of her earlier concern. Latasha cherished these evenings, moments where each bite and giggle felt like nourishment for the soul. After dinner, as she washed the dishes, her thoughts wandered back to Sarah and Mark. Could their friendship evolve into something lasting? The courage they showed today felt rare. Would they continue to allow themselves to feel, to embrace vulnerability together? The idea excited her. That night, Latasha tucked the children into bed. Their sleepy faces brought her warmth. While they drifted off to dreamland, she wrestled with doubt. Would she be able to support them both? Supporting her kids was a responsibility she'd gladly take on, but could she share her life with others struggling too? Latasha gazed out the window at the stars beginning to twinkle in the night sky. They felt a world away, yet infinitely close. She returned to the living room, heart still racing from her day. She knew such connections didn't come easy, but wasn't that the beauty of risk? When everything felt uncertain, what did it mean to step into the unknown? As she sat quietly, contemplating her thoughts, her phone buzzed, startling her from the trance. It was a text from Sarah. Hi Latasha. I know it's a bit late, but I couldn't stop thinking about our plans for the park day. I'm excited. Also, would you mind if I reached out to my friend at the center? I feel like we could all use some support and maybe some guidance. Latasha's heart raced. Could they really dive deeper into this personal journey together? She texted back, absolutely. Let us make sure our kids are part of it. This could be a wonderful adventure for all of us. The sun had fully set, but the shadows in her home felt lighter tonight. There was a spark of hope igniting between them, but lingering thoughts still nagged. Was she ready for whatever came next? Was this friendship strong enough to survive the challenges they would inevitably face? Little did they know, their decisions in the coming days would lead to a stronger bond than they ever anticipated. As she brushed her teeth, a thought struck her. What if this journey held more lessons than she could ever expect? Would she discover new facets of herself through helping others? Tomorrow awaited, brimming with possibilities, but what awaited them beyond the first park day? Excitement edged on the horizon, and she could almost feel it pulling her forward. The morning light broke with a gentle warmth, filtering through the kitchen window and illuminating the specks of dust dancing in the air. Latasha, energized by the possibilities of the day, moved rhythmically as she prepared breakfast. The kettle hummed softly in the background, while the aroma of pancakes mingled with the faint hint of maple syrup. Jamal and Aisha soon ambled into the kitchen, their hair tousled, and eyes still heavy with sleep. Are we really going to the park today? Aisha asked, a yawn punctuating her words. Absolutely. And guess what? We'll have a surprise waiting for us there. Latasha replied, flipping a pancake with a flourish. What is it? Jamal's voice rose, his curiosity piqued. Latasha chuckled, savoring their excitement. You'll see. All part of the adventure. Once breakfast was finished, they quickly piled into the car, the children chattering non-stop about their upcoming park day. The drive felt short, their hearts pumped with anticipation. Reaching the park, Latasha spotted Sarah waving enthusiastically at them from a picnic table beneath a vibrant oak tree. Over here. Sarah called, her smile infectious. Latasha parked and her heart fluttered a mix of excitement and nervousness. As she stepped out, she felt the warm breeze brush against her skin, igniting a sense of hopefulness. Hey, Sarah. Kids, this is Sarah. She introduced, and Aisha and Jamal waved shyly. Nice to meet you both. Today's gonna be fun. Sarah replied, kneeling down to meet their eye level. We're going to have some crafts, games, and I brought a few snacks. Latasha felt a rush of gratitude flow through her. Thank you for organizing this. As they settled into the day, other families began to arrive, creating a harmonious buzz of laughter and chatter. The children eagerly joined a group painting wooden birdhouses while the adults gathered nearby, sharing stories and laughter. Latasha found herself in conversation with Mark, Sarah's friend from the center. He had an easygoing manner, and she felt the warmth of shared experiences wrap around them like a favorite blanket. As they spoke about their children, she couldn't help but notice his genuine enthusiasm for life despite its challenges. Parenting isn't easy, but moments like this make it worthwhile, Mark said, his eyes lighting up as he watched the kids squeal with joy. Latasha nodded, feeling her own worries ease. It really does. It's so important to find joy, especially when life gets tough. Just as a light breeze swept through the park, Aisha called out, "Mom! Look what I made." Latasha turned to see her daughter holding up a colorful birdhouse, paint smudged adorably on her fingers and cheeks. That proud grin said it all. "Wow! It's beautiful, Aisha." Latasha beamed, her heart filled to the brim. As the afternoon wore on, more connections blossomed, laughs were shared, stories exchanged, and moments of vulnerability emerged, weaving a tapestry of understanding among the parents. "Can you believe we did this?" Latasha said to Sarah, a confident sparkle in her eyes. "Absolutely. And I think it's just the beginning," Sarah replied, her excitement bubbling over, but just as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the park, Latasha's phone buzzed again. It was another text, this time from a familiar number. It read, "Hey. It's been a while, can we talk?" A flicker of anxiety danced through her. Who could it be? And what did they want? Taking a deep breath, she looked around at the lively scene filled with hope and laughter. How could she balance past shadows with this newfound brightness? Gathering her thoughts, Latasha felt the weight of anticipation settle in her chest. Was she ready to confront someone from her past? More importantly, how would this surprise conversation shape the journey she was beginning to embrace? Latasha's heart raced as she stood there amidst the laughter and joy, the park now feeling like a magical haven. But the words on her phone screen pulled her back, wrapping her in a blanket of worry. Familiar feelings bubbled to the surface, memories she thought she had tucked away like old photographs. "Hey, Mom, can we get ice cream?" Jamal's voice pulled her closer to the present. She forced a smile, pushing her anxiety to the back of her mind. "Sure. Let us finish up here first." Every moment felt richer after reading that text. She loved watching her children dive into activities, their laughter melding with the chatter of other families. Yet in the quiet spaces of her mind, the text echoed. Who could want to talk? More importantly, why now? As Sarah joined her again, Latasha noticed the light catching her friend's hair, the way she radiated energy, making even the sun feel less bright. "What has got you looking a bit lost?" Sarah asked, her voice kind but curious. "Just, a message from someone I didn't expect to hear from." "It's kind of throwing me off," Latasha admitted, glancing at the phone again. "Do you want to talk about it?" Sarah offered, leaning in slightly, her eyes inviting trust that it felt good to open up, even a little. But Latasha hesitated, the wound still fresh even if it had started to heal. "It's complicated. Just, a part of my life I thought I had moved on from. Whatever it is, you're doing amazing here today. Don't let anything pull you away from that," Sarah replied, her warmth wrapping around Latasha. Latasha nodded, swallowing her fears. The kids were the center of her universe. "You're right. I'm having such a great time." As dusk began to settle, with fireflies twinkling like the stars above, the group started lighting sparklers. Giddy laughter erupted as the children dashed around, twirling and dancing, the night coming alive with joy. Suddenly, a shadow passed over the picnic table. It was Mark, his expression serious. "Hey, everyone. Just so you know, there's something very special happening over by the bandstand," he called out, his voice cutting through the cheerful noise. "A surprise performance is about to start." Excitement rippled through the crowd. Latasha shared a glance with Sarah and the kids. They jumped up, their eyes bright with wonder. "What's the surprise, Mom?" Aisha beamed. "Let us go find out." Latasha shouted, her spirits lifting despite the lingering questions in her heart. As they made their way toward the bandstand, the cacophony of laughter, cheers, and music surrounded them, like a warm embrace separating Latasha from her worries. Yet she felt the weight of the phone in her pocket, reminding her that once she returned home, she would need to face the uncertainty of that message. Just as they reached the crowd, the sound of music floated through the air like a melody calling to be heard. Overhead, colorful lights began to twinkle, and the band struck up a tune, vibrant and inviting. Yet, deep down, Latasha felt a stirring conflict. Would the night be filled with pure joy, or would shadows from her past steal the happiness she longed for? Out of the corner of her eye, she saw someone standing alone under a tree, watching. Latasha squinted to see better, her heart racing in a mix of excitement and dread. Could it be? Before she could take a step forward, another text buzzed in her pocket. "Please, don't shut me out, I need to explain." What was she going to do? Latasha's breath caught in her throat. The music swirled around her, lively and bright, contrasting sharply with the whirlwind of emotions raging within her. She took a steadying breath, trying to anchor herself amidst the joy surrounding her. The kids danced, their innocent laughter lighting up the fading evening, completely unaware of the turmoil in their mother's heart. "Are you coming or what?" Sarah called, already pulling Aisha along toward the bandstand. Latasha felt a sudden urge to run after them, but her feet seemed glued to the spot. That message felt like a chain around her neck. "Don't shut me out," it taunted her, whispering secrets of a past she thought she had buried, of a person she had tried to forget. But there he was, lurking in the corners of her mind, resurfacing like an unwelcome ghost on a night meant for celebration. "Mom! Look!" Jamal grabbed her hand, dragging her into the thrumming mass of families and friends gathered before the stage. His excitement caused her heart to swell, yet the awareness of the stranger beneath the tree lingered. She forced herself to look away, focusing on her son's joy instead. The band struck up a lively tune, and the air was thick with excitement. Couples began to sway, children danced erratically, and the whole park transformed into a festival of light and sound. But all Latasha could think about was that shadow, that haunting figure from her past. "Are you okay?" Sarah returned, a hint of concern in her voice. She stood close, her eyes searching Latasha's face. "I'm fine. Just watching the kids." Latasha layered her smile with false cheer. "Really, everything is great." She could feel her heart racing, each pulse reminding her of the message and the potential for pain it carried. "They've got some amazing dancers on stage." Sarah pointed to a group twirling in bright costumes. "Let us join them. It'll take your mind off things." Latasha knew that Sarah was right, even if her heart felt heavy. She slipped her phone from her pocket, her fingers lingering over the screen. One more glance wouldn't hurt, would it? But before she could press the button, her daughter's laughter rang out, infectious and pure. It pulled her like gravity, and she slipped the phone back into her pocket. "All right, let us do this." Latasha swept up her children in an embrace, their warmth almost spilling over the edges of her worries. As they joined the crowd dancing, Latasha let the rhythm take over her body, releasing the tightness in her chest. The music enveloped her, and for a few moments, she allowed herself to be swept away, letting joy fill the spaces left by doubt. But moments can be fleeting. When the music softened and the performance transitioned into a slow ballad, Latasha glanced back to where she'd seen the figure. The crowd was shifting, and amidst the laughter, she caught a glimpse of that familiar face again. This time, there was no mistaking it. Her pulse quickened, and a surge of emotions flooded her senses. "Mom? You okay?" Jamal's small voice broke through her thoughts. Latasha shook her head slightly as if to clear it. "Yeah, sweetie. Just need a moment." But what moment? Would she confront the past that haunted her, or keep it buried? As she stood there, frozen in place, the answer began to unfold before her eyes. "Hey! Can we get a picture with the dancers?" Aisha's little voice chimed, full of hope. Latasha smiled, but that stranger's gaze was pulling her. She was standing at a crossroads. What was she really going to do? With one last look, she felt her heart sway between the past and the present, the choices that lay ahead feeling heavy with meaning. The night had only just begun, but would it lead to healing or heartbreak? A sudden wave of certainty washed over her. She would have to make a choice, and soon. Latasha stood still in the moving current of laughter and celebration. The vibrant colors swirled around her, yet she felt trapped in a haze. The sight of the stranger stirred every unspoken word inside her, a tumult of fear and desire to shield her children from whatever storm might still lurk in her past. "Mom, please?" It was Aisha, her eyes wide with excitement, pulling Latasha's focus back to the moment. "I want a picture with the dancers." The world swirled back into focus. Latasha smiled down at Aisha, her daughter's enthusiasm brightening the shadows that clouded her mind. "Of course, sweetheart." They moved toward the front, where families formed a line beside the stage. Latasha felt heat radiate from her apprehensive heart as she caught snippets of the lively conversations around her, people sharing joy, creating memories. Yet, the past hung like a thick fog, threatening to envelop her hopes. When Aisha finally got her turn, she jumped up next to the dancers, her smile stretching wide as they posed. Latasha snapped a picture, each click of the camera preserving a slice of happiness. She could feel a connection in these fleeting moments, a reminder of what really mattered, the laughter and joy woven together with her children. But then her eyes flickered toward that familiar face again. The man was no longer lurking, he was edging closer, his movements deliberate as he navigated through the crowd. An internal debate sparked within her, each heartbeat demanding she either face him or flee. "Mom, look at me." Jamal leaped into her line of sight, his cheeks flushed with excitement. He was wearing a wide grin, hands raised in mock dance moves. The innocence of his joy hit her like a wave. Latasha couldn't help but laugh, the tension breaking momentarily. "You dance like a rock star, Jamal." A sharp laugh nearby seized her attention. It was Sarah, who had been watching the interaction. "Hey, you could take a few notes from him," Sarah teased, before looking back at Latasha. "What's up? You seem miles away." Latasha hesitated, swallowing a thick knot of emotions. The reality of her past and what it might mean for her children lingered just out of reach. I don't know how to deal with this." "That man?" Sarah nodded subtly toward the stranger. "I get it. But remember, you're not alone anymore. Whatever it is, we can handle it together." The truth of Sarah's words sank in. There was strength in exposing her vulnerabilities, joy cloaked in fears of uncertainty. As the music shifted back to a more upbeat rhythm, the urgency inside Latasha grew. Perhaps she could find the strength to confront the whispers of regret and heartache. As the dance floor seemed more inviting, she approached the staged area, her steps now determined. "Let us go dance. I want to see you both show off those moves," she said cheerfully, turning her back to the stranger, but as she twirled, enjoying the blissful distraction, a gentle hand caught her wrist, pulling her gently. She looked up, and there he stood. The ghost of her past was no longer lurking, he was right in front of her, and she could feel the world slow down around them. "Latasha," he said, his voice a mix of memories. Her heart slammed against her rib cage. She hadn't expected this confrontation so soon, and suddenly, every choice she thought she had was overshadowed by a single question: what was she going to say? As the music pulsed around them, she felt every eye in the park on them, their past and present colliding like waves. What awaited her next felt monumental. Would she embrace this reunion or turn away from the echoes of a life she had fought so hard to forget? The night lay pregnant with possibilities, and so did Latasha's heart. Latasha's pulse pounded in her ears, drowning out the joyous sounds of the festival. Colors blurred as the man's face became sharper, more defined, like a sharp knife cutting through the fog in her mind. She knew she should say something, anything, but the words clung to her throat, heavy and suffocating. "Do you remember me?" he asked, his voice carrying an edge of hope, laced with disbelief. She swallowed hard. Was he expecting her to answer? Up close, she could see the weariness in his eyes, the lines of regret etched deeply across his forehead. Those touches of familiarity wrapped around her, and she cursed the way nostalgia mixed with her fear. "I want to talk," he continued, trying to bridge the chasm that had opened between them all those years ago. "Here?" Latasha's voice came out steadier than she felt, but her instinct had kicked in. She wanted to protect Aisha and Jamal from the weight of this moment. They were laughing a few feet away, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing at their mother's side. "Yes, here," he replied, a hint of desperation seeping into his tone. "I've been looking for you for so long." The music swayed around them, a surreal soundtrack to the chaos in her mind. Every memory rushed back: shared laughter, love, and heartbreak. "Why now?" she finally managed. "Why here? I needed to find you where you felt safe." His words were weighted, fragile as glass. I thought this might be a good place, a good time." Latasha couldn't decide if she wanted to laugh or scream. Did he think he could just walk back into her life with sweet words and expect everything to fall in line? Safe? She shook her head, the bitterness spilling out. "You don't know what my life has been like." He stepped closer, almost as if he could reach into her heart and pull out the truth. "Then let me in, Latasha. Let me hear it. Let us talk about what happened, about everything." Behind them, she could see her children dancing, lost in their own world of innocence and laughter. Aisha twirled with wild abandon, Jamal jumped beside her, laughing. They were still young enough to believe in magic, that nothing could ever tarnish their joy. She closed her eyes for a moment, breathing in the sweetness of their laughter, allowing it to ground her. "You don't get to just reappear and expect me to open up," she replied, her voice firmer now. "You don't understand what you left behind." "But I've changed." "I had to," he insisted, eyes pleading. "Can't you see? I never stopped caring." A soft laugh escaped her lips amidst the turmoil, a mixture of disbelief and anger. "Caring shouldn't have taken this long. My kids deserve better than a half-formed apology." The words hung between them like a fine line, balanced on the edge of everything that had come before. Latasha turned slightly, looking back at Aisha, who was beckoning her with enthusiastic waves, and Jamal, who was grinning from ear to ear. The glimmer of their joy pressed against her turmoil, provoking a flicker of hope within her. Maybe she could draw strength from this moment, even if stepping back into this man's life meant chipping away at the layers she had built around her heart. She felt a swirl of emotions rise within her. Could she peel back those layers? Could she let go of the fear that had held her for so long? "Just give me time," she whispered, the admission escaping her lips before she could stop it. His gaze softened, and for a fleeting second, she thought she saw a spark of understanding. "I'll wait," he said, a small nod of determination in his voice. As he stepped back, Latasha took a deep breath, her heart still racing. This was only the beginning, after all. As she turned to walk back to her children, determination rooted within her, she glanced over her shoulder one last time. The stranger remained, a man caught in the web of their shared history. The night still pulsed with promise, but uncertainty loomed large. What would this next chapter hold? Latasha could only wonder as she stepped back into the stability of her present. The lights of the festival flickered like fireflies as Latasha walked toward Aisha and Jamal. Their laughter wrapped around her like a warm blanket, momentarily softening the ache in her heart. Each giggle and squeal pulled at her, reminding her of the life she had built for them, far away from the shadow of that man, the one she desperately tried to forget but who now hovered at the edges of her consciousness. Aisha stopped mid-twirl, her wide brown eyes sparkling with excitement. "Mom! Did you see me dance?" she called, her voice melodic and filled with innocence. Latasha knelt to embrace her, feeling the warmth of her daughter's small body flood her with an overwhelming sense of love. "I did, sweetheart. You were amazing." Jamal bounded over, his grin bright enough to rival the festival lights. "Did you see that jump? I touched the sky." He beamed, pride leaking from every word. "Yes, you did." Latasha laughed and pulled him into a hug. The sound of their joy washed over her like a gentle wave, but underneath it, the knot of uncertainty twisted tighter in her gut. As the rhythm of the festival thrummed around them, she felt the pull of her past still drawing her away. Would she ever be able to fully embrace a future that didn't involve the memories of him? "Can we get cotton candy?" Aisha asked, her eyes wide and pleading. Latasha nodded, eager to push the swirling thoughts to the back of her mind. If only for a few moments, she held their hands, leading them toward the vibrant stall, where fluffy pink clouds of sugar spun around. But even as she smiled at her children marveling at the candy, she caught glimpses of him in the distance. He lingered at the edge of the celebration, as if waiting for something, perhaps for her to summon him back into her life. "Mom, look! Can I have a blue one?" Aisha shouted, pointing excitedly. "Of course," Latasha replied, ordering 3 sticks of sugary bliss, letting the sweetness distract her just a bit longer. It felt good to focus on the simple pleasures that childhood provided. But she could feel the weight of her decision loitering in the background, waiting for the right moment to strike. As they munched on their treats, the sounds of laughter and joy filled the air. Jamal's face smeared with blue streaks of sugar made Latasha chuckle. She felt blissfully present yet acutely aware that whatever had been left unresolved loomed like a cloud. "Can we go on the Ferris wheel now?" Jamal bounced on his feet, energy radiating off of him. "Please, please, please." "All right, let us do it." She agreed, her heart racing with nervousness. A part of her wanted to cling to this moment, to barricade her family from any turbulence the past might bring crashing through. But she also felt that voice inside her, whispering of the importance of facing the truth, however intimidating it might be. They made their way toward the towering Ferris wheel. Latasha felt the tug of anxiety and excitement as they climbed into the cart, their bodies huddled close as the ride began its ascent. The world below shrunk away, and as they reached the top, the sweeping view of the festival painted an idyllic scene in front of them. The colorful lights shimmered against the night sky, sparking something deep within her. For a split second, Latasha allowed herself to hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, facing the past could lead her to an even brighter future. As they descended, Jamal squealed in delight. "Can we go again?" "Of course." Latasha smiled, but as they stepped off the ride, her heart weighed heavy with the choice she had made to give him a chance, the man waiting, perhaps still hoping for reconciliation. What if she didn't make the right choice? What if it only brought more heartache? Aisha tugged on her hand, pulling her focus back. "Mom, who was that man talking to you earlier?" The question tightened her chest, and for a moment she was lost. How could she explain something that felt so complicated? It's a long story, honey," she replied softly, her voice almost a whisper, knowing that this was just the beginning of a complicated path ahead. She could feel her children's innocence looking up at her, waiting for answers, and she realized just then that moving forward meant she had to face not only her fears but the truth they so richly deserved. Could she find the strength to unravel it all? The moment hung in the air, stretching out like the carnival lights illuminating the night. As they broke away from the ride, Latasha could feel the weight of the coming days pressing down on her. What awaited her beyond this festival of fleeting joys? The festival felt electric as Latasha's heart raced between joy and uncertainty. She watched Aisha and Jamal giddily share their cotton candy, their laughter mingling with the whirling lights above. The air was thick with a happiness she craved to embrace, but shadows lingered just beyond. The man from her past nudged at her thoughts like an uninvited guest at a party. Latasha cleared her throat, grounding herself in the present. Okay, kiddos. What do you say we play some games? Their faces lit up like the twinkling lights above, and she couldn't help but grin. A brief distraction was all she needed. As they jumped from game to game, Latasha found herself relishing in every squeal, every cheer that rang out when they won a small prize. It felt right, just her and her children. But a little voice whispered, urging her to confront the past. Mom, look at my teddy bear. Jamal held it high, his beloved prize made of fluffy fabric and stitched smiles. They paused near the carnival booth, laughter trailing behind them as she knelt down. Great job, Jamal. She cheered, feeling momentarily free. Look, they have a ring toss. Let us go. Aisha exclaimed, tugging her hand, and Latasha followed, heart fluttering. The kid's joy was infectious, washing over her like a wave cascading on a shore. But when they turned around, she caught a glimpse of him again, the man who had been lurking just outside their world. He stood near the booth, his eyes searching, filled with memories of a life once shared. Latasha swallowed. Would she allow herself to be drawn to him again? At what cost? Aisha's voice pulled her back once more. Mom. Can we take a picture together? Sure. Let us pose in front of the Ferris wheel. She said, trying her best to sweep doubts away, as her heart felt lighter for her children's sake. Just as they began to smile for the camera, that shadow of familiarity loomed closer. The photo clicked, and just as Latasha turned to see who was taking the picture, she saw his expression, soft yet pleading. Latasha, he called softly through the music and laughter, but she held a hand up. This was not the time. Let us go find something else fun. She said instead, pulling Aisha and Jamal away, hoping to create distance while trying to ignore the ache in her chest. They found a space to enjoy face painting, and Latasha watched her children transform into whimsical creatures, forgetting for a moment the burdens tied to their lives. Yet, as dusk fell, the glow of the festival flickered and dimmed. A round of fireworks lit the sky, and for a split second, the world felt perfect. But as she looked at her children's shining faces reflecting the bursts of color, a knot tightened in her throat. I'm so proud of you both. You fill my heart with so much joy, she said, grounding herself in the richness of the moment. Perhaps she could carve space for everything that was the laughter, the struggles, the fears, and yes, the past. When the fireworks faded to a hush, she felt a pull within her. The reminder of that message hadn't left her. It needed to be addressed. Maybe it was time to pave a new path forward, not just for her, but for her children, who deserved a mother unburdened by shadows. With trembling hands, she resolved to step into that unknown. Gathering her courage, she approached where he stood. The music faded into a dull thrum as she drew closer, fear and hope mingling in the air. Latasha, he began, but she held up a hand. Let us talk, she said, her voice steady. But not here. Not tonight. I want my kids to enjoy this. Of course, he replied, voice cloth softening, his gaze sincere. Latasha took a deep breath, remembering how far she'd come. She was stronger than she once felt. Her children needed her to be brave. Tomorrow, she said. We can talk tomorrow. And as she turned to walk away, she felt the weight of that decision lift. It was the first step in reclaiming her life, the love, healing, and connection that she wanted for her children to experience. As she rejoined Aisha and Jamal, their laughter enveloped her heart. The festival may be dimming, but inside her burned a new light, a flicker of transformative hope. She picked up their hands, reminding herself that joy was a journey, too, and perhaps, just perhaps, they could weave the threads of their past into a beautiful tapestry of tomorrow. In that moment, Latasha felt ready to embrace the unfolding story, the laughter, the messiness, and the love that came from vulnerability. The night did not end with fireworks, it ended with warmth, connection, and the promise of a new dawn. Now, seize this moment. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that will ignite your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the love spreading. Comment below with your feelings about this ending. Your heart needs to be heard. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is what keeps us going.